This is Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the August 3rd meeting of the Michigan City Sanitary Board. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
All right.
Sorry, I knew it was. Half was actually enough.
Steve.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna call the meeting to order of the Sanitary District Monthly Meeting of Board of Commissioners, Wednesday, August 3rd, 2022 at 4 p.m. So called to order would be Holt Edinger.
Present.
Tim Warner.
Present.
Chris Yagowski. And Tim Smith present. Let the record reflect that Chris is absent. I would ask for an approval of the regular board meeting minutes of Wednesday, June 22nd. Do I have an approval? I mean, a motion? Second?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We're going to do public comment, and let me just remind the public that we're holding to 5 minutes per public comment, and so if there's any public comment, please. Any public comment? Any public comment? Seeing none, public comment is closed. The next item on the agenda, we're going to switch item 6 and item 5. So Dan, can we have you come up, please, on safety?
Okay. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dan. How are you?
Very well. Pardon my voice. Allergies are kicking up in full force. Okay, so during the month up through July, we have 2 recordable injuries in water reclamation, and again through July, we have a total of 7 recordable injuries in through July. And it is an improvement over last year, certainly, and the days away on light duty are somewhat less than they have been in previous years. We are making improvements in that regard. And then to take a look at page number 3, 10 activities listed on the page. One I'll bring to your attention under PSM deals with the Alexander Chemical Chlorine Sulfur Dioxide Safe Handling and Emergency Awareness Training Workshop. We were able to send 9 people over to that, and the session was very well received. So that we can use this session also to make sure we're in compliance with PSM and RMP, I developed a 43-question quiz so that we can verify understanding. And so I shared that quiz with you. I used small print. I used small print right here, and I wondered. That's an understatement.
Yeah.
I wondered how well you take a look at that. I'm really trying to conserve paper.
I can read June 17, 2022.
There you go. There you go. That's it.
So you get the app is on your phone, like Focus does. That's it. Blowing it up.
So you get the gist of it. So it was a very thorough.
Did you make him take the quiz this size?
Yes, I do. That's part of it. Those fittings on chlorine containers are very small. Yeah. So all of them did very well on that, and very proud of them. And they didn't complain one bit about taking the quiz and completed it very well. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, and just a little bit of levity and humor thrown into. Would you happen to have any questions? Interpretation of page number 4 or anything?
No,
okay.
We don't.
I guess the only thing I had is just a question about the case number 06 on page 2.
Yes.
The possibility of the safety glasses not properly being worn.
Uh-huh.
They all have this side pieces on them and everything, or?
Side shields, yes.
So it just wouldn't have been tight enough to his face or something, probably,
Yeah.
to keep the debris from getting in?
I wasn't, we weren't there to observe, but it could have been, down like this, or
Right.
it may actually have been that the individual in question has, unlike me, has a slender face, and so it may have slipped off or slipped down. It wasn't quite fitting as it should.
Yeah, that
So we
was
did get him a
question I had.
good pair of safety glasses, or a different pair of safety glasses that fit better. So.
Thanks.
And also, our foreman presented an excellent training program actually today on safety eyewear and the proper way to wear it and everything like that. So kind of backing it up there a little bit.
So you have these safety meetings in the morning?
It's the meetings it's their discussion that they have. They don't have it every morning.
Okay.
But when they do have it, it's either in the morning or after their
Shift?
break, lunch break.
Okay.
At 1:30. It's one or the other.
Okay.
Yeah, depending on what they have going on that day.
Okay. All right, thanks, Dan.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the report. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're gonna do item 5 now. We kind of skipped over it. And do you wanna,
That's Long Beach.
yeah.
No,
Are you leading us through that discussion?
yeah.
All right. We've got the attorney up here too. So.
Well, I want to rely on Mr. Meyer too.
All right. Okay.
Okay. What I put in your packet,
Before you start, and a copy of the agreement with the town was in your packet. The agreement basically calls for the town to reimburse the district for its cost in reference to what it's spent so far in this project. The district had 60 days from the date the project stopped to file an invoice with the town. That from our perspective, the stopping of the project happened when the council voted not to approve the rate increase, because then there was no funding. You can't have a project without funding. So the 60 days runs out, I think, the week after next. It runs out before the next scheduled board meeting. So we need to proceed, assuming the council wants, assuming the board wants to make efforts to get the compensation, a reimbursement from the town, to get them a written invoice for the amount.
and I have a draft of the invoice, which is based on that first page of the summary.
Okay.
So I have a draft of it already put together.
Okay, great.
Another thing relating to this, that agreement too, you can see it's the highlighted section on page 2 of the Long Beach agreement. It's like behind this sewer cost summary.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're right there. Yeah. So on page 2, the highlighted section is what Jim's talking about. That's one thing. The other thing is I'd like to get the invoice to them this week because Long Beach has its town meeting next Monday, and they only meet once a month. And everybody's in the budget cycle process right now. And I thought if we could get this to them as they're doing their budget for 2023, they could include these costs. So that's why I think, I'm really trying to get it to them this week.
Okay.
And so the board is aware, both myself and the general manager, Mike, have communicated questions to the town, he to the town board president, me to the attorney, asking what their position, and we started doing this weeks ago, was in reference to moving ahead with the project. Did he have any alternative source of finance or some method? What was their plan? And neither one of us has received any response. And Mike and I have sent more than one request for an answer to that question. So, guys, I don't know if they're just trying to waste the time. 60 days to expire, I think we may not know about it, or what, but that, you know, I'm not aware of any other source of funding for the project, so I don't know how they could possibly move ahead with it, but even if they do, you know, you obviously are not gonna get any money out of the SRF funds.
Okay. Okay,
So, like I said, I put this summary together, and then behind it are all the invoices and check numbers that paid all those invoices. And I've actually gathered all the invoices and copies of the cleared checks. I went online with Verizon. So we got all the backup to these amounts. The past few meetings, I've been talking, you know, around the $300,000 level, and that was just the sewer design cost, you know. But then when I reread the agreement, I added everything that it looks like the agreement says should be included. So, and you can see we still have retainage of $88,000 roughly with Haas and Associates. So we still owe Haas and Associates $88,000. So the total comes to $510,201.73, of which we've paid and checks have cleared for $422,110.28.
Okay, so these invoices shown on the fourth page for the Long Beach Sewer Extension Design, and that were invoices from Haas that we paid and not invoices at Long Beach. that
Right,
paid
all
for
the
us.
invoices for the whole project were
Okay,
coming up.
that's, yeah.
And then what happened
I
was,
wasn't sure of looking at this before.
yeah, and if, you know, if you look at the design, you know, like cost, you can see, it kind of started back April 23rd, 2021. And at that time, we paid the first 2 or 3, yeah. And then Michael and I went to Tim and said, hey, you know,
We want to hold 25%.
yeah, well, we actually started with 50, but then Tim needed to continue on. So we gave him 25 of the 50 for the remaining invoices.
Okay, that was my question, why we started holding back 25%.
Yeah, that's why we started after, because once we saw how big this was gonna get, it was like, you know, we can't flip the whole thing.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So, so I guess I would ask the board's approval to work with Mr. Meyer and get an invoice to Long Beach this
Okay.
week. So if you could approve.
So I'm looking for a motion for Scott to prepare a invoice for Long Beach and working with our council. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Okay,
I'll
second.
second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thanks, Scott.
Okay.
Scott, can you send a copy to us?
Oh, yeah.
We need, please.
Yeah, That's what I
I'll
wanted.
copy you the
Just to
same
help us
time
sleep a little better.
yeah, copy Long Beach. And
yeah.
I'll work with Jim on who the proper person is to send it to at Long Beach, and
Yeah.
then you guys will be copied.
Yep,
Very good.
yeah, copy us on that email.
Yeah.
Wait,
And it's,
exact date, that is that 60th in our heads?
I don't, and I'd have to go back and see when that was done at the council.
Officially, so we don't, cut it too close?
Yeah, I'll look and I can send it to you. I'll have the exact date.
Great.
Yeah, all the paperwork is done.
Yeah,
So all we have to do is put a cover memo or letter.
yeah, I have like a draft invoice. and,
Right.
But it looks a lot like that summer, you know. But I also have electronic versions of all the invoices and checks, so we can send all that stuff to Long Beach so they have all the backup for these costs.
Okay,
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
And then the next thing is the financial section.
Yeah, we have opening bids, but we'll move you, since you're up here, let's do the financial and then we'll come
Do we
back.
have any?
Do we have
We don't have
anything?
any.
Okay,
Just,
all right.
I just have one more question.
Huh?
Back to, I'm sorry, Mr. President.
No, go ahead. Oh, please.
Maybe I'm misunderstanding this, but the town shall reimburse the district as required herein within 60 days of being determined that the district cannot reimburse proceeds of project financing. That they are to reimburse us, the way this reads, within 60 days. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Not just receive a bill, but,
Yeah, but that's where, I don't know if they have the 500,000. That's why we may not get it within 60, but I'm hoping if we get it to them in time, they can get it in the budget for next year.
Right.
And we can at least get
And I think
something.
they should at least give us an indication of when they can pay it back or when they will be paying it back. So I think that should be included in the letter.
In the cover letter.
Yeah.
Good point. Okay.
thanks.
Go ahead.
Okay. On to the financial section. The first thing, I'll read the cash balances real quick. All these balances are as of June 30th. The operating fund had $1,142,261.33. The Horizon Municipal account had $5,335.24. The improvement fund had $938,146.47. The vehicle replacement fund had $134,464.04. Equipment replacement fund at $693,745.26, and the operating grant fund had no balance, for a total in that bank account at Horizon of $2,913,952.34. The Indian Springs project and Whippoorwill project, they had no balances because we paid the SRF. We do it every quarter, so that bank account had no balance. The SR debt reserve had $500,007.07, and the bond and interest had $208,907.59, for a total at the Bank of New York or BNY Mellon of $708,914.66. Stormwater fund had $672,455.43. The refuse municipal account had $1,308.48. Refuse had $1,876,675.88. The special revenue account had $3,203.79. The levy excess had $8,522.14, and the rainy day fund had no balance, for a total in that bank account at Horizon of $2,632,362.19. So the total before the Carwick remediation fund at $6,255,229.19. The Carwick remediation fund has $223,040.07. That accounts at Horizon too, for a total cash balance of $6,478,269.26. Just a few notes on this. As you can see, the year on year, we're down. A lot of that's Long Beach. Without that, we would have been doing pretty good, better. And then we had the normal monthly transfers. The one thing, that equipment replacement fund, you won't see it in the July cash balances, but we made the final payment on the savings loan, and we did it today. It was supposed to be Monday, but since it was the final payment, they didn't automatically take it.
Okay.
So I went and talked to the bank today, and so it was paid today.
Okay.
So, and that was a $1.9 million loan that we paid back in 5 years, so it was pretty good.
That's great.
And then same thing on the SRF bond and interest. Again, you won't see it in the July cash balances, but August 1st is one of our semi-annual payments. So we paid $236,000 on that. But we'll be putting more money, we put money in there in July to cover that August payment. And then the last thing, we got the stormwater and refuse tax settlements in June. So that's why the refuse went up, month on month. So, and stormwater didn't go up as much just because stormwater reimburses the operating fund for the collections guys. So that's why it didn't go up as much as the refuse did. So, and that's pretty much it on the cash, unless anybody has any questions.
Any questions from either one of you guys? No? Okay.
Okay. And then the budget performance, again, if you go to the last page of all these three, and look at the expenses year to date, June 30th, and we're right at 50% of the revenue and roughly 46% of the expenses. So we're tracking right along on the operating fund. The refuse fund, again, if you go to that last page, I mean, if you go through the detail and have any questions, just ask me later. But again, our revenue actually came in a little higher on, we have a local option tax, and some of it goes to refuse and some of it goes to stormwater. In the first half of the year, I put a little bit more of that into refuse. But again, you can see we're over 50% in expense. We're under the 50% for half a year. So we're doing pretty well. The one thing is on the expenses, we do have a couple extra payrolls second half of the year.
Yeah.
So that's kind of part of that 43 as opposed to 50.
Okay.
But, and that's pretty much on that. And then stormwater again. Stormwater is mostly reimbursement to collections. Now, when we get to the budget here in a minute, I'll talk a little bit about that. But again, they're tracking right at. The expenses actually were a little lower. We didn't have as many repairs on storm drains and other things in the first half. The only thing is, I'm waiting on a few invoices from Woodruff because the work's been completed, but I haven't seen the invoices yet. And we're putting together a list, which I can give you the board next month, of all the projects that we've completed, project, and so on.
Okay.
So, and that's it. And then the last two things, last three things, but the two of them are the budget worksheet reports. And this is a first pass of the 2023 budget for refuse and then stormwater. And these are the two that have to go before the city council. The operating fund goes before you, but these two tax levy funds have to go before the council. So, I'm sorry.
In yellow, you have one of these operating supplies, diesel fuel.
Yeah. I brought it down because if you go back to the other budget performance report and look at diesel for the first half of the year, what we've done is use the CNG vehicles a lot more than the diesel. Okay. So we haven't got hit as hard by the diesel prices. Yeah. And the CNG costs are like $2 a gallon equivalent, roughly. That's what we've come up with. So,
that's great.
Yeah, so I brought that down year on year, but if you look at like 2021, you can see we spent 63. The other thing is that operating supply CNG fuel that you see highlighted there. The reason I highlighted that is it was getting, I haven't been able to figure out a way to come up with that $2 cost per gallon. And we get a bill from NIPSCO for the CNG station and the natural gas we use.
Okay. So
what I did was split that cost and moved it down to the utilities line on the third page there. It's like $21,000. So that's half of the bill just for the CNG station.
We buy in pound and not gallon, right, for compressed natural gas.
Well, we're buying natural gas straight from Nisco.
But how do we pay as a cubic foot?
Yeah, cubic foot.
Compare it to gallon, dollar.
Yeah, we could do all that. But
I just
then,
wondered how they invoiced us.
yeah, and if I start that, then, then you get, because collections has CNG too. So I said a 50-50 split is the easiest way to do this. And it's still kind of in the same area of the, it kind of does move it out of one category, but the other thing is that operating transfers,
Yeah,
I highlighted that because we're working on getting grants for some garbage trucks, and that amount would go in as our match. So we'd move it to the grant fund out of this fund as our match. And just one last thing on refuse. I've been working with the controller's office, and right now the first pass is like 2.5% increase in salaries, and that's what's put into this. And one last thing on refuse. There's basically 6 items that make up 93% of the budget. You got your wages, landfill costs are the other big
it's
one.
huge.
Yeah, and that one,
615.
15, because
Yeah.
we're paying $35 a ton, and it's 15,000 tons.
Do we ever, can we bid that out?
We did last year.
We did.
And we saved 60,000 year
Yeah.
on year.
Okay.
Yeah, it dropped from $39 down to
And
35.
I think we did more than a year contract on
It's
that
a
too.
4-year, it goes up
That was
every
waste
year.
management, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like starting today or Monday, it's going from $35 a ton up to $36 a ton.
Okay.
So,
But the incremental increase was
oh yeah.
minuscule. It was the
Yeah.
We'll see.
Oh yeah, we
Yeah,
say
I'd say-
Plus, it
60,000.
was better than the alternatives.
Yeah, it was.
We're the only ones ones
Yeah.
bid,
Right.
the public.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing on that line is we have 5 dumpster sites. For certain apartments, instead of having trash or totes, we have dumpsters. So and that's part of that cost.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and that takes care of refuse. And this is first pass, so just look at it, and at the next meeting, if you have any questions, just let me know. Because this is, like I said, this one has to go before the council. The next thing is the stormwater budget. I'm sorry, on both of these budgets, the reason the property tax line is highlighted, I was working with Carl Sender yesterday, the first pass, we're still working on those numbers, but the numbers I was given didn't, really, I had Carl look at it, and he came up with these numbers. Well, I came up with them, and his are slightly higher, but anyways, that's why they're highlighted, because I'm reviewing those property tax numbers. Because you got the circuit breakers and SSI, all that stuff. That's why I went to Carl.
Okay.
Just to be honest. Stormwater, same thing. Now in stormwater, the only thing that's really a little different is, see those salary, I didn't highlight it, but the salary and wages regular. I reduced the staff that were reimbursing collections and moved that savings down into the repair and maintenance and sewer and drains and capital outlay. And the big reason is the fact that Michigan Boulevard we were maintaining, and now we have outsourced that to ServiceScape. So our guys aren't out there. And that's kind of on that other professional services line right now. So the ServiceScape contract's there. And it was there this year. But, we're just not spending as much time in the stormwater areas as we were, and we're outsourcing most of the repairs and stuff. We are doing a lot of smaller repairs with a couple guys, but it's only like the summer months.
Okay.
So that's why you see those things kind of highlighted, because I wanted you to be aware that, you know, I'd like to move some of this into a better spot so we can do more of these projects. And at the next meeting, I'll have a list of those projects for this year. So if you have any questions on that stuff, again, next meeting too, because, you know, this is first pass. Mr. Miladovich and I did meet with the mayor and Yvonne, the controller, about this first pass. So they've seen it, and I gave them detail behind, and I can provide that to you guys too.
Okay.
So, and then the last thing I have is just so you're aware, the audit, we had the kickoff for the audit, 2021 audit last Monday. So the auditors are here. Fortunately for us, since we're part of the Tyler Technology New World system, the auditors can pretty much do our audit remotely. I mean, they don't even come here anymore because they can see everything, because all the invoices are attached, the receipt, backup, you know, revenue. Yeah, everything's right there, payroll. So since we're part of, you know, that software, they don't even really come here. And we had a clean audit last year.
Okay.
So that was good. Now,
Yeah, that's great.
now they have to go to the water department because the water department is not part of that system.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
So anyways, it kicked off, and I just wanted you to be aware that it's going.
I saw that. They sent us the email on it.
Yeah, you got it, yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
If you have any other questions.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President, yeah, if I may, from Scott, since I'm the liaison, you know, to the city council, and we dealt with this Long Beach sewer issue, and the communications that you sent to them, I'd like to have a copy.
Sure,
Also.
I'll copy you.
Yeah, in the agreement of, you know, who was gonna be paying for what, I'd also,
Yeah.
I'll copy
like to
you.
have a copy
Yeah,
of
that's
that.
no problem at all.
No,
Just,
yeah.
I mean, why don't you just CC down on the letter you get sent?
Yeah, just, right,
Then you don't have to do a copy, just,
or I'll come pick it up.
No, I'll drop it off for you.
Okay.
You got a mailbox up at City Hall, right?
Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah, you can do that, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I think I know where those are. I try not to go there much.
Yeah,
okay.
thanks.
All right, thanks, Scott, appreciate it. Steve, you wanna come up and do the updating on the projects for us?
Yes, sir.
Are you handling this notice of award too?
I'm gonna, yeah.
Okay. We got a few of them in here.
Yes, we do. On the US 12 and Custer, you'll probably remember that thing came in, we had an engineer's estimate below 150 and it came in over 600. Okay, so what I've been doing is working with HRP to de-scope the project, but still have it do a lot of good for us. And we worked out a useful scope of work for the intersection of 12 and Custer and Francisco, and 12, priced just under $150,000.
And that includes the roadway work that was talked about in the SWAG meeting earlier today too?
Yes.
Because you're reprofiling the road a little bit, if I understand right.
At Custer Avenue, yes.
That sounds great. We can get it all taken care of that way.
The board originally approved issuing the bids for this project under a certain set of design and specifications. You modified those substantially, obviously for obvious reasons. So I think the board should vote to approve the new plans and specifications, so to speak.
Okay. I think I brought the red lines in last meeting or the meeting before that.
Yeah, I thought you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
discussing Custer and the drainage
Yeah, we
changes.
did. So,
Oh, it, Yeah, I'd like to have approval for the red line design changes so that we can build it.
Okay, so we should take these one at a time.
Yeah.
John?
With respect to the Custer job, we need to resubmit to the State Highway Department what we're planning on doing, because they basically approved the initial project, so
The original.
I don't think there's any problem, but we need to.
No, because it sounds like everything's moving further away from 12 anyway, right?
Right, we're not, no jack and bore under the road, any of that.
Yeah, so I think if you send in the addendum, the line drawings to NDOT for the permit group, we'll just revise the permit for the addendum in the EPS and away you go.
Okay. Do we need to have that before we approve the bid?
No, because if things are being less involved in the state right away, we're like, yeah, sure, please.
Okay. All right, so then I will ask for a motion to approve the red lines for the HRP construction of the contract for US 12 Stormwater Drainage Improvement Project.
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Motion's approved. Thanks, Steve.
2510 Wabash Street, this was a very high priority swag site. The work is in the alley. Mr. Doyle designed this. We had one quote from Woodruff for $132,717.88. And I took the liberty of preparing a notice of award. It's not signed and has not been issued to Woodruff. And this one, I think what I'd like to ask is that you let management and financial management go through the stormwater available dollars and then make a decision. I think Scott believes we're gonna award at least one of them.
Yeah, well, the first one, will be covered through, we're getting the grant.
Okay.
No, I'm still gonna leave about 90, but we have money in the grant fund, so that one we can do. The next one, I'm gonna have to look, because I'm still waiting on some invoices from Woodruff on some projects they did already. They've been completed, and I just need to get a handle on how much those invoices are gonna be before, and we can look at these others.
All right, so we have the money for the, right, so we already proved that one, so we're looking at the stormwater drainage correction project, 2510 Wabash Street. So you're saying that we don't have the money for that right now?
I'm not sure. I'm saying until I get a handle on what Woodruff is going to invoice us for the 3 projects they've completed, I don't know how much we have.
Okay, so rather than letting staff do this, I think we should just wait and have them come back next meeting, guys. All right? Okay. And does that go along with the 404 Gulf View Road as well?
It's completely analogous. It's the same
All right, so let's just table those two till we know we've got the money, okay?
Yep.
All right, okay.
And,
Scott, you'll know by next meeting?
oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll know probably by tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Well, we're meeting in 2 weeks, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll see it again.
Okay, item D, we received a formal proposal from Shambaugh and Associates, which we didn't have in this package we put together. This is a handout for 9D. The first sheet of paper is Shambaugh's proposal that came in on August 2nd. And they're proposing to do a very helpful PLC upgrade for $135,000. This is going to replace the what's the phrase for it? The obsoleted SLIT 502 processor with a modern one. Because that's, what do they say, this thing, it's, the life cycle status of the 502 is discontinued as of 2017. And this will allow us to modernize the filter building control system. Yeah, this next sheet of paper in here is the proposal that we received from Westech some time ago. It was dated March. Their quote for the job was $199,930. To be fair to Westech, we asked Shambach to include remote I/O as an option. But I was speaking with John Paxson there. He's one of the best PLC technicians I have ever met. Mike, what would you say about John Paxson?
I'm very impressed. We were in a very difficult situation with a system failure. He came out himself, I don't know if he's one of the owners or high-ranking person in the organization from Fort Wayne. Got us up and running. There was a slight hiccup, and he came back out the next day from Fort Wayne and made the correction. It's been running ever since.
He explained to me that if this was his plant, he would leave out the remote I/O because we already have dedicated wiring in place. He said if we were building a new plant, we'd probably want to have remote I/O so that the remote sensors would be connected to the PLC by Ethernet. We don't need that because we've got hard wires.
Which is more secure and more dependable.
Yeah.
And shoot.
Well, and cheaper.
Yeah, well, it's already there, so yeah, it's cheaper because it's already there. Yeah.
All right, so instead of $200,000, we can get done what we need and have it done well, in my opinion, for $135,000.
Steve, under the PLC paragraph, it talks about the SEL 100 processor and expansion modules have been abandoned in place. Is that something there's just no power to it, it's covered up, so it's not going to be confused by anybody or being part of something that should be working and isn't?
I think everybody understands this. They're still in the cabinet, okay? There's a lot of clean wiring in there. Mr. Paxson said of our cabinets that they're super clean, and I'd ask him, what does that mean? You know, no mice nests? No, he said, no, nobody's been screwing around with it. Nobody's been messing around with it and jumping wires. It just says they're in great shape, so we're going to reuse them.
So it's very unlikely that there'll ever be any confusion with these old modules.
I will find out if the Slick 100 cabinet needs to remain. Okay.
I underlined that too. That's why they keep,
If you actually saw them,
You know that there's something that's not used
they
anymore.
next to like the Apollo age. Oh, just a little bit after that.
Well, if we don't need them, is there any reason why they should
Why
stay?
wouldn't just remove
Why
them?
wouldn't we just remove them?
I don't know the answer.
Okay,
Sell
thank
them
you.
for scrap.
Okay.
Oh, got us on the moon.
Mike, do you want to ask for approval to move forward with this?
I would urge the board to approve this. This would be a big concern with the rest as far as the system going down and not being able to be revived.
Okay. So, any questions from any of the commissioners on this?
So we're happy with the upgrade without the remote.
Yeah, we don't need it.
Hardwired, okay.
Shambach recommends not putting it in because we're wired already.
Any questions?
I don't have any questions. So I'd look for a motion to approve the Shambach proposal for $135,000.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approved.
Thank you.
Okay, keep going, Steve.
All right, changing around, I've got nothing new to report right now. Things looked okay today after that big rain 2 weeks ago. On the Carwick dump site, I think I reported that we had some invasive species to deal with out there. Slusser has been out there doing mechanical weeding and hand weeding of certain things like purple loose strife by hand, actually. And the mowing the crown vetch. We had RES have a look at this site with us. These are the same people that have been working on Strebel Pond for us. He said he's seen the site really doesn't look too bad. But Slusser's taken steps to improve it so that we can pass an inspection. And so there's a little bit of information that Nelson Slusser provided. Okay, the next project was the Strebel Pond Restoration Project. This is a little report that Mike Suter put together. This is a man I've had a look at Carwick, by the way. This guy's top notch. Just looking at the pictures, we can see that almost all the Phragmites is out. And they've been touching this stuff up as it goes. The new seed is sprouting.
They just glove it with the chemical, right? Is that how they're doing it? The remaining stems that are still there?
When it's like this, I think that's the way they do it.
Yeah.
They're using glyphosate on that because it's grass. Works really well. So that project is coming along nicely in my estimation. Mr. Gorsica on the Strebel Pond lights. Have you heard any word from Marcus on timing?
No, I haven't heard anything from West Electric in their bid. They stated 8 to 10 weeks to get all the equipment in. And from the notice of award that we gave them, it's going on 8 weeks, so I'm looking to hear from them here in the next 2 weeks. And they said that they would construct light poles and solar panel within 3-4 days after they get the equipment.
All right, Mr. Gorsica.
Thanks, John.
Mr. Gorsica, would you like to chime in at all on 421 project?
Sure. US 421 sanitary sewer water extension runs 421, 300 north, under the interstate. That has been very, very slow. Lift station, they had problems dewatering, getting the water out of the lift station excavation area. They have proposed to raise the lift station up 5 feet. Mr. Doyle was out there with John Wayne from
The dealer, Chevrolet.
Jerry Sullivan?
no,
John Wayne.
he's a guy from Weaver.
Across to the.
Oh, John Warner.
Warner, okay. And
That's what I have.
they gave, Dina wants to lift it up, 5 feet. And I think Mr. Doyle and Mr. Warner somewhat agreed to that. They have started on the west end of the project on 300 North, in front of.
John, can I jump in at that juncture there? You've got, in your packet here, you've got a letter from Mr. Doyle. I brought him in on the on-call contract to have a look at this. And do you care to comment, Mr. Doyle?
Well, as far as the raising of the bottom of the lift station 5 feet, I didn't see anything drastically wrong with that, but in the conversation with Jerry Sullivan, Jerry, is it?
Jerry Sullivan?
Yeah, from the county, they were 129 feet deep, I believe, with the station. They had intentions, or at least the idea being, that they could extend sewers, I'll say to Westville, anyway, raising of the station, they relocated the station from the corner going to east, raising of the station, bottom 5 feet, doesn't affect
Overall function.
other than the ability to extend
Deeper
sewers
sewers.
farther by gravity. So I thought it was a reasonable request and okayed it. I did have concerns about soil conditions and so forth. That's why John Warner was there. And he got that worked out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, just everybody remember that right now the county owns this project, but we would be the future owners of it. That's why I had Mr. Doyle look at this.
Raising the bottom will make it easier to maintain the station. You don't have to suck out the bottom. You could actually try to fight it far.
Yeah, I mean, we want to make sure that even the county owns the project now, when it's transferred over to us, there aren't any issues.
That's exactly.
So,
That's the smartest people I know.
no, all right. Okay.
Okay. Energy savings report, I filled in the June and the July. The June adjusted savings was $5,300. The July adjusted savings was about $8,500. So that's informational. Blue Swag, we had a Blue Swag meeting today. We brought 2 projects back onto the priority list, one being California Avenue, the other being Maplewood. Is that Maplewood?
Maplewood is what, yeah, what Joe had indicated.
We put those back on the list for further evaluation. On California Avenue, I asked Mr. Doyle for an estimate to look at that, to come up with a permanent correction to the problem. And
John, does a grade at the north end of the parking area actually drop off into the dune before it goes back up? Looking at street view, it looks like past that condo, it's kind of a low area just off the pavement. Right now, we have like an asphalt curb or something along the perimeter, is that what it is?
there's a concrete curb
Is
right
it
there.
concrete?
Yeah.
Couldn't really tell in the street view.
Well, the system that is in there, the perforated pipe, I think it's a 24-inch perforated pipe and some auxiliary piping. It's really not big enough to take care of what goes down there. So what we're trying to do is pick up the water from Lakeshore Drive
Before it gets down there.
before it gets there, put in some trench drains and a couple of additional dry wells. And there's a couple dry wells in there that need to be refurbished, basically. Should cut down on the amount of water that gets down there. But you also have some neighbors that have removed part of some curbing and so forth to the west that are contributing to the problem. So,
The POA allowed us to sandbag those, by the way, temporarily, until they can do it permanently.
what we're doing, I think, is going to help the situation, but I don't think it's the final answer. That we need to find some way that you can increase that stormwater percolation area, maybe out more toward the lake. But the problem with that is when the lake comes up, that part of the system doesn't function anymore. So it's kind of a tough site, and it's low enough that if you're you can't get a gradient or sewer by gradient out of there to connect to the existing storm sewers in the area. So your answer is going to be a pump station at some point in time, I think. But what we're doing, I think, will help.
Yeah, we get a lot of the water that parking lot has to handle comes from Colfax Avenue to the east and all the way from Lakeshore Drive to the south.
Oh, yeah.
So
It's a long way.
it's the bottom of a bowl, okay? It's the bottom of a drainage channel.
We
Today,
all just saying he doing it didn't matter.
right,
Now with pavement it does.
now, considering what we thought we might be getting for rain this afternoon, We actually put some sandbags out in that parking lot to deflect the water to where it should have been going all the time, and it really helped a lot today.
That's great. Okay.
We also hope that we didn't get the 2.5 inches.
Them still might be coming.
Sandbags are on the pavement or off the pavement?
Supposed to rain
On the
tonight.
pavement.
So is there some possibility of doing just a, like
Miss
a
us.
big bump to direct the water to hump to, just get it to go down?
Couple of angled traffic humps would help us a lot. That's not hard to do.
We just gotta keep from plowing the parking lot in the winter.
Yeah, which we can't really do.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, thanks.
We don't have a solid schedule yet for the Kieran Place liner and the Earl Road sewer. We're looking for that to come in soon. Item M, the admin building structural evaluation, that's this building, of course. Shem's structural engineer is scheduled to come out here on August 11th at 11 a.m. if anybody cares to be here. And then the last item on here is the 2022 Brownfield grant. As everybody I think knows, we were awarded a second grant. This is, the first one was $600,000 and this one's $405,000. This thing works really well. I mean, when Scott turns in the bills to the EPA, if he gets them in the morning, we get the money in the afternoon. Is that right, Scott?
If I give them to them by noon, it goes into our account. That's why that operating grant fund is zero. Because the minute we pay the invoices, I submit them and we get reimbursed.
That's
So
great.
That's why it's always zero.
Okay.
I know Bruce Carter and Associates has been our consultant for the first grant. And in my assessment, with lots of experience doing these things myself, I think they've been doing a really good job for us. But I don't think we can just like automatically re-sign them back up. We gotta do an RFP letting for
Right.
professionals to
Because
propose
of
on
the
this.
federal grant requirement.
Yeah.
You gotta do a request for proposal.
So I'd like to ask approval to issue a request for proposal to hire the consultant that helped to do most of the work under the new grant.
Yeah. No, I don't have any questions. I mean, I think if they did a good job on the first two grants, I mean, we should go ahead and hire them on the next grant.
They'll have to propose and they'll have to win.
Right.
Yeah.
No, exactly. I mean, I think you've got to let it out and see, but I mean, I think we need the assistance on it, so I would agree.
Move to approve.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Okay. Jim? Thank you, Steve.
Okay. Don't forget to look at the staff reports.
We will, yep. Thank you. They're always very in-depth and we always look at them and appreciate it. Thank
As well as vacation pictures.
you. Yes.
Slip one of those under once in a while.
Perfect.
All right,
The
Tim?
board previously approved a resolution selling a parcel to Northwest Northern Indiana Commuter Transportation District for their double track project. Included in your board package should have been a copy of Resolution 144822, which the board passed back in February of 2022 approving that sale. The only thing that needs to be done now is to sign the documentation, approve the documentation, closing it. And again, the documentation was included in your board packet. There's a deed, very typical, there's a deed, there's a disclosure statement, and then there's a closing, in essence, statement. But anyway, they need to be signed and there's a request for it. You gotta give them an EIN number so they can pay it. Which Scott will take care of. So what I've asked the board to do at this point is to vote to approve. The mayor will sign the deed because he's the chief executive and the way it works in municipal real estate, the mayor should sign the deed. And then the Tim can sign, excuse me, Mr. President can sign the disclosure statement and any other documentation that I believe is the only thing that's left is the disclosure statement.
Yeah, we signed the other.
Yeah, we do that in the past.
Yeah.
So I would ask the board to approve the completion of the sale documents and any signatures required by the board president and the mayor.
Can I get a motion, please?
I move to do what Attorney Meyer said.
Second. Second.
All in favor?
For the record, the price is $3,000.
Yeah, I saw that. Checking the amount of.
Yes.
Just trying to figure it out if I could remember everything you said.
Don't spend it all in one place. Scott, that'll cover one of our trucks, new trucks, won't it?
Oh, yeah.
There were appropriate easements created because there was a sewer across, the storm sewer across part of the property. So we addressed all that.
Okay. All right, anything else, Jim?
No, I'll answer any questions.
Any words of wisdom? Gotta be careful when you ask an attorney that. Okay, so item 12, approval and allowance of revenue and tax levy claims for payment, please. Can I get a motion? Second?
Second.
It's approved to pay the revenue and tax levy claims. Any old business? Any old business? Any old business?
I think I have something. I don't know if I should do it under old business or new business.
Well, if it's old business, do it under old business.
We had discussed, Mr. President, we had discussed some issues that I don't recall what and if we had planned to put things in force to make some changes. And so I have some questions in regards to an incident that happened this week that was taken care of wonderfully by our general manager on a text message from myself. And in reviewing Mr. Stanford's his report, it seems that at some point in time, certainly taking into consideration safety as well, and the cost of what the lack of an ordinance or an existing ordinance that deals with refuse and the huge piling of it at the end of an eviction or a fire or moving out or abandoning a property. What ordinance exists now, Jim? And maybe you could help to allow us at some point, or what do we need to do to implement a policy, whether it be revenue building for us, or to deal with the additional. I know we have spring cleanup and it's very, very effective, but when certain things happen and they're not considered construction debris, a multitude of furniture, somebody cleans out a shed and they pile it on the side of the street, in no particular fashion, it does create safety issues. It creates certainly manpower issues, and it's at great cost. The question is, do our rates continue to support us picking up huge, massive amounts of debris, like in this picture? That does happen. We all know. I mean, people purchase a house and things are left, and people move in and they just take it out and put it on the side of the road. Even if it's good stuff, they just don't have the room for it because they're bringing their things in. And so, at some point, I know we had talked about it over the last 10 years. going through the necessary steps to try to find a solution, because we are having injuries. And I wanted to open up this discussion again, as we do have new board members, and I don't know if we've addressed it since you know, some of our new board members have been here, that maybe we would get new ideas or old ideas, or a way of what those of you who have been here for so many years, more than I, can get to this solution. I don't know if we can, you know, determine, you know, just to open certain things that I've thought of, you know, when something's picked up, you know, if we can designate, you know, a small, a medium, and low, and actually have a way to charge this additional work that's being periodically and sometimes maximally in our streets, you know, to help pick up. Anybody?
Yes, the board has a policy and the district has implemented that policy frequently. I'm not sure why they didn't do it in this case, but maybe they did, of special, what they call special pickups. If you call, for instance, and say, I've got, you know, 3 old couches out here that I want you to pick up, the call is taken, it's recorded, documented, the materials are picked up, there's charge, I don't remember, I know Rachel knows how to explain how they compute the charges for the customer, but they do, and then the stuff is taken to the appropriate landfill. So, if you saw, well, I know you saw my email, which I responded to your email, or whose ever email it was, saying that that's what they should do in the case that you have here. If you show up, I mean, you're supposed to pick up the toters. Okay, the city does that, I mean, the district does that. But if there's, and I'm not saying, you know, if there's a milk carton laying out there that you don't pick that up. But if you have enough, then it should be classified, and it's a judgment call as a special pickup. Then the pickup should either be made and you send them a bill based on that, and I would recommend you take a picture of it before you do it. Or you leave it sit and call the homeowner or property owner and say, if you want us to pick this up, you know, it's gonna cost you. It's special pickup.
So is there a revenue?
Yeah,
Yes.
we kind of just break even on it
It's
though.
the special revenue, there's a category in your budget called special, I don't know what the wording is, but special fund.
Special refuse collection fund
Special
or something.
refuse, something like that, which is where that money goes into. A long time ago was thought that you could cover the cost of purchasing toters with that. It turns out that the toters cost a lot more than the money you collect. So yes, you can use that, but you have to get additional money.
But 2 points on this. We just filled the refuse inspector position, and what was happening in the past was they would go take a look at the pile, make an estimate of how much it was gonna be in landfill cost to pick it up. And we're just getting going with that again. The minimum charge was $50, which covers about a ton, you know, and if it's, or a ton and a quarter. And when it goes above that, then we bill them for the landfill charge. And now all that money was going into the fund Attorney Meyer was just talking about. And, you know, it would get up to 15,000. I don't know if you guys remember, but you know how we were talking about getting a full truck of toads or a half truck, you know, that's where that money was coming.
Okay.
So, but I think the inspector's gonna help.
So, okay, and I would agree, and excellent news. However, when a special pickup in the form of an abandoned property by a tenant, and we bill the landlord, correct?
Correct.
And
if they don't pay, I believe, Mr. Meyer can correct me, we can issue a lien.
Yes.
I recall in the past signing multiple liens
That was more.
and release of liens, and and I have not. And I was curious as to.
Well, those liens, very few of them related to this.
Okay.
All those were like people not paying their regular.
Okay, very good. So this inspector, we believe, will significantly improve some of the, I've received calls from people around town, and they've, found me and given me the number, and that's why I'm bringing this up, I'm trying to do the right thing for all of us.
Yeah.
For, the citizens of Michigan City.
To be honest, we need to get it going.
Yeah, and I would love to see that and hear about it, and that's great. Good news.
Can we include a letter to all the residents in our sewer bill again, informing them that we have this program?
That's a good idea. One of the challenges that we face is when material is put out, just put out whenever, every day, and then the list grows longer, and it's sometimes virtually impossible to keep up with it. And also, it presents an undesirable aesthetic for the community. So we need to work on this to develop some understanding of advance notice of a pickup, so that material is not sitting out there and we're not even informed until somebody sees it.
Mike, I agree with you 100%. I think that 2 of the several calls that I received, the people just believed that if they left it out there long enough, somebody would get to it eventually. They didn't know that there was a special pickup program, and that, they could, and I think that's where Tim's idea of, letting someone know, or it could help.
Yeah.
Because right now, the inspector just goes to where he would be called to go. Right? And not, okay. So I think if we have,
If they see something,
right,
they call the inspector.
but I think if we have the inspector's number in that letter, and if a neighbor sees something,
Right. They call us.
yeah, hey, this guy next door has got 18 refrigerators sitting out in his front yard. Can you go talk to him?
Well, the other thing we're looking at is there's software that can help you route better.
Yeah.
So as you take these calls for these pickups, it helps you do it in a much quicker fashion.
Right turns for every turn, yeah.
Yeah, there's no logic.
FedEx
how
delivery.
the truck's gonna go to pick this stuff up.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
our refuse trucks hit most of the areas, not all, but most of the areas driving
Right.
throughout the course of a week, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And if there is a massive amount, I'm sure that somehow, some way, they could or maybe should be making a record and then talking to the inspector immediately. I mean, would be the goal, right? And so that's good news that this inspector, as you continue to train, I guess this inspector, it seems like it would be necessary to make sure that the driver, the loaders, or whoever, could communicate back and keep track of where some of this is happening. So none of us, because I'm gonna give them all your numbers now. And,
Well, one of the foremen was the inspector, and he's working with the new inspector.
okay, good.
He was really good, he
just
was really
changed.
diligent.
Good, let's give it the attention it deserves,
Absolutely.
please.
Yeah, but I think we have to recommend the
Great, thank you. And Mike, I appreciate you so much
fees involved.
for handling it the way that you did. Was absolutely extraordinary. And I received calls back
So I'm just gonna draft.
thanking me to be sure to thank you and the staff for responding very promptly to my question regarding, what can be done.
I will see that the responsible parties are informed. Thank you.
Thank you.
So On this note, I think I'd like to direct staff, and you, Michael, to put a letter together
Yes.
that could go out with the bills, explaining the, giving the inspector's number, since we have a new inspector, correct?
Yes.
And where to direct people to that we have a special pickup. And also the special pickup number.
Yes.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice, thank
I
you.
would like to also share with you that we, in the interest of managing the calls and responding in a more organized and professional manner, we're also bringing on a telephone system that will facilitate that. Because there's been frustration of residents calling and not getting the kind of response that they would hope for or expect.
Okay.
So we're working on this and from a couple of different approaches, which hopefully will result in
Improvement, yeah.
a better outcome.
Okay.
Excellent.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah.
All right, any new business? Any new business? Any new business? All right, anything else from either one of you two commissioners?
I have nothing.
Okay, all right, well, then we stand adjourned, and our next regular meeting is August 24th, 2022. So, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Hey, buddy.